It has been months since I posted my episode 14 or the finale reaction to KinnPorsche The Series, but now we're finally here, guys. Alright guys, so for today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my review and thoughts of KinnPorsche The Series. So way back when, in this year of 2022, I made reaction videos for all of the episodes of KinnPorsche The Series. And what I will say, it was a wild ride for sure, up until the finale wherein I literally had zero energy to make a proper review and give my final thoughts.
I need to breathe. This episode was not good for my mental health.
Now, we're finally here and I was able to sit down all these months later and just to collect all my thoughts, and I'm here to give them to you guys. Now, obviously, since I will be going into plot details and storylines with the series, spoiler alert for those who have not yet watched the series. Now, before I get into it, obviously many of the themes and plots shouldn't be romanticized or practiced in real life. And as the series was airing, I noticed that people really should have been reminded of that because, yeah, this series was rated, I'm pretty sure, 21 plus for a reason. So there's that. Also, one more thing to keep in mind as I'm giving my thoughts is that my thoughts are really based off of the series version of the story, and I have not been able to read the novel version. So if you guys could comment down below your thoughts based on the novel and the series, that'll be much appreciated. So without further ado, here are my thoughts and my review for KinnPorsche The Series. Alright, where do I begin? This show's storyline, it really felt like an entire spider web. And with each episode and the different things we had to learn, they felt connected in their own different ways. Like from episode 1, it started out with us seeing how Porsche got into the Mafia world. But then later on, even that we learned was part of a big elaborate plan by Mr. Korn. At its core of the series, I feel like one of the main things was really with Porsche getting into, as I said, the Mafia world and getting into all this stuff with the main and minor families. This series portrayed what each of those families wanted, and along the way we also saw with Porsche's life, all the lies and the relationships that he got himself into. And honestly, even besides Porsche's life, we also were able to learn about the different characters that Porsche was able to encounter on this journey of his. And with all of that combined, and then how it all played out in episode 14, I really felt like it was a good way to tie it all together in the end, while at the same time, it also left us with some unanswered questions. May or may not be answered in a possible season 2, who knows? Now, if I'm being completely honest, with this series, what I loved the most was the storyline. Though in the end there were admittedly some flaws that we got to see, I liked how throughout the 14 episode run of the series, we were able to see how all of them were able to play out. And by all of that, I mean Mr. Korn, because he's really the main mafia man in this story. I've said this in my reaction videos, but I've said that whenever there were scenes of Mr. Korn, he was also seen with chessboards, right? Now to me, that was symbolism in a way to show how calculated of a mind Mr. Korn is, and how he's really to think through his moves and figure out what to do next, especially whenever challenges come his way. From the moment that he wanted to get Porsche as his bodyguard, to Mr. Korn faking his own death. And finally, the reveal that Porsche and Porsche's mom is still alive. One particular scene that I want to point out, though, with Mr. Korn is in episode 7, when he was talking to Kinn about not letting his guard down, especially what happened after his last relationship. And I'm pretty sure that was also the time when he started to notice Kinn developing a deeper relationship with Porsche. But then after that talk, we move forward to episode 11, when he told Kinn and Porsche that they're able to have the relationship, and he allowed Porsche and Porsche to stay at the main family house. And as I said, with Mr. Korn, he really is someone that thinks through his moves, and whenever there are challenges that come his way, he finds a way to maneuver around them, or in some cases, be able to work them into his plans. Like the main thing is Kinn and Porsche's relationship. Now I remember after the finale premiered, I remember people saying how Porsche should not have been the head of the minor family and instead it should have been Vegas, which I get why, but at the same time, it just goes back to what I said, which is that this is really all part, at least from what I can tell, of Mr. Korn's plan. He was able to get that much power in his hands by having Kinn be the lead of the main family, and because of his relationship with Porsche, he had Porsche be part of the minor family as well. And that's one thing, honestly, if season 2 were to actually happen, I really want to see what Porsche would be like now that he's head of the minor family. Okay, honestly, if you were to ask me what my personal favorite episodes of this series were, for me it would have to be 6, 12, and 14. For me, those episodes were able to give us the action, the storylines, the backstories, unfolding of all the storylines, and in between all of that, all of the lovey-dovey stuff as well. Honestly, with all of those things that I mentioned are what really got me through episodes 1 up until 14. Okay, and one more thing I loved about the series, arm. I mean, I literally put on glasses for arm for this video. Now, with all of that being said, this was not a perfect series, I'll admit that. Things about the series that kind of ticked me off a bit were some certain points of the story that I feel like could have been fleshed out more or even connected more. Okay, I feel like I'm gonna get hate for this, but one of my biggest complaints is the Kim Shay storyline. Now, I will admit, their storyline, it was very cute, and though some people like me may complain that it didn't really feel like as connected to the main storyline, I feel like with Kim Shay's storyline, it was able to get us hooked in some way because it was, you know, the cutesy stuff compared to, you know, all of the hard stuff between KinnPorsche and Vegas Pete. As cute as Kim Shay were, there was part of me that kind of hoped that there could be something in that storyline that can be a bit more connected to the main storyline. And the main thing I'm really thinking about is Kim. When we were shown Kim, right, he was wanting to dig into Porsche's life, which is why he got into that relationship with Porsche. And then towards the end of the series, right, we saw that he was able to find out that his dad was behind some of the bad deeds that happened to Porsche and Porsche's parents. But then after that, who was the one who actually revealed to Porsche what happened to his parents? It wasn't even Kim. So then seeing that play out, I was like, really? It wasn't even Kim that revealed to Porsche what happened to his parents. It was Mr. Korn. And going off of connecting to Porsche, going to Porsche's part in this story, specifically episode 11 onwards, when we saw Porsche be so brokenhearted and go into his reputation era. I just kind of wish we got to see more of the brotherly dynamic between Porsche and Porsche. Like, we really got to see a lot of that during episode 1, but then episode 11 onwards, we really didn't see much of that besides that talk they had at the pool. Like, did we see Porsche talk to Porsche about, you know, the college stuff or why he got his hair dyed blue? No. If season 2 were to actually happen, that's one thing I want to see a bit more fleshed out. Kim Shay storyline. Alright, next thing I would like to talk about. The characters! Now overall, my thoughts about the characters in this series is that I feel like there was a good amount of showcasing their backstories and their personalities. Now while I was talking about Kim Shay earlier, let me talk about them as characters. Now, what I will say about Kim is that I just gotta give it to him first of all, because even though he was said to be the member of the family who decided to outcast himself or separate himself rather, he was able to show that he does have those family genes in him, that he's a smart guy to be able to dig into the family background, and especially whenever he had those few fight scenes, he showed that he can hold his own. Case in point, his solo fight scene in episode 14. And again, yeah, that being said, the whole digging into the family background, no, damn it. And on the other side of this coin, Porsche. Now I will say about him is that he does have some strength in him as well. Sure, he did go on that little downward spiral after finding out what Porsche and Kim have been doing, but I will say he did show some strength here and there. Like in episode 1, he said that he wanted to help Porsche in providing for the both of them. But towards the end, when Kim was giving Porsche a call, and then Porsche, he did one of the best things honestly that he could do. Block Kim. Now that is a power move. I'll give him that. But yeah, I will say though that I wish that we get to see more of their own development as characters and in the relationship as well, in a possible season 2 if it were to happen. Now moving on to Porsche's brother, Porsche. Now episodes 1 and 2, I feel like they were able to give us hints and pieces about what Porsche is like and where he came from. He is someone that really lived more freely and on his own as he was trying to, you know, provide for him and Porsche. At the same time, we were able to see that he is someone that deeply cares for the people that he loves in his life. Specifically with Porsche, and then later on, Kin. And then speaking of which, contrast Porsche's life with Kin's life. Kin is someone who really lived more for the family because he was really put into that position. He is someone that had a hard time trusting people, but eventually he was able to open himself up to Porsche. Yeah, honestly, with Kin's character development throughout the series, I like how we were able to see that he did not trust a lot of people early on, but then later on he was slowly able to open himself up as he was getting into that deeper connection with Porsche. Now, I did mention earlier that episode 6 was one of my favorite favorite episodes. And the reason is because that was able to show us what Kin is really like outside of the suit. Kin is someone who had his dreams in the past. He said that he wanted to be a singer. And then in that episode, we were also able to see how much more freely he was able to act with Porsche. But then yeah, as I said, knowing where Kin came from, he couldn't act like that because of the position that he was put into. So honestly, with Kin and Porsche's contrasting personalities, that was really a good balance between them when they got into a relationship together. Okay, something else I would like to also talk about that did shape the characters and how they acted is how the dads treated Kin, Vegas, and honestly, I'll also throw Pete in there because he did also talk about his dad in episode 11. For both Kin and Vegas, I feel like what they have in common are the pressures that they both have because of the positions that their dads put them in. They were put into such positions of power, and how they acted was really because of, as I said, how their dads raised them. Like we had Kin's dad who was always teaching him about, you know, not letting his guard down and being strong for the main family. And then on the other side, we had Vegas' dad who... No. Yeah, not a good father figure for Vegas and Macau. And continuing on with Vegas, we all saw, right, how he was being treated by his dad. What we did get to see, I'm pretty sure it was seen in episode 10 onwards, was that he does have this vulnerable side of him and he acts the way he is because he wants to please his dad. Now that vulnerability of Vegas, Pete saw that. Even despite, you know, Pete getting kidnapped and in chains, Pete was able to still see through what Vegas was portraying. And that's honestly what I really love about Pete as a character, is that he is really one of the most understanding in the series. Like in the beginning, he was able to talk to both Kin and Porsche to try to get a deeper understanding of the other person. And then later on, Pete opening up Vegas was really such a turning point for the both of them. Pete is someone who is trusted by a lot of people, and I see why he was, I'm pretty sure, head of the bodyguards before he left to go be with Vegas.
Hey, Editor Dex here. So one last thought I wanted to have about Vegas Pete is that, can we also just talk about the fact that their storyline literally started when there was like 4 episodes left? And I'll just say, they sure as heck made the most out of that time they had. The storyline that they showed was really that strong that in the episode when they had that pool scene, which was supposed to be the most anticipated scene in the series since the trailer release, but no, when that episode premiered, more people were talking about Vegas Pete than the freaking pool scene. Just goes to show the impact that Vegas Pete had on the audience. Gotta love that for them.
Alright, that's that. One last character I would like to talk about. He's the guy behind the chair, one of the smartest in the series, my favorite hot nerd. Alright, we're getting to the end of this review, but one thing I would like to talk about still, the songs! From Free Fall to Why Don't You Stay to This Song Is Called You to that one song, I think it was in episode 13 that I don't know the title right now, but all I'll say is that it just screamed pain. Each of those songs were really good in their own different ways. Like we had the rocky theme of Free Fall, which really fit with the action theme that the series provided for us. We also had Why Don't You Stay and that song from episode 13. Those two really provided the emotional side of the series. And finally, this song called You. That was that little bit of brightness, that little bit of cutesiness that the series also gave us here and there. Overall, each of the songs, they are really good, as I said, and they were able to match with the different themes that the series gave us. And honestly, gotta love that. So that's it for my review of KinnPorsche The Series. Overall, this series, it really met my expectations. It was definitely worth the wait ever since the first original trailer from Filmania era, and then now with Beyond Cloud, good job on everyone. Whether or not we're gonna get a season 2, I'm also glad that this series also introduced us to all of the cast in the series, and I'm just looking forward to whatever projects they may have in the future. KinnPorsche Series, I'll give it a rating of... honestly, 10 out of 10. So what did you guys think of KinnPorsche Series? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. That's gonna be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up. All my social media links will be in the description box below. Subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell post notifications so that you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video whenever I could possibly make one. Bye.